Well, it's been a busy week in politics. It always seems to be a busy week in politics, but this week especially, the president speaks out on immigration. He faces a hostile Congress when he comes back after the holidays. Bruce Rauner shows up in Springfield trying to finish anything it might accomplish. The pension plan, knocked down by the courts today. And of course, Rahm Emanuel, hey, the election for mayor has already begun. So it's time to check in on all that's been going on this week. Joining me for this week in review, our Common Sense Caucus. Kristen McQuarrie is a member of the Chicago Tribune editorial board. She's over at Tribune Tower, as fantastic as ever. And joining us here in our WGN newsroom is Tribune columnist Eric Zorn. And Kristen, let me come to you. Let's do this in reverse order. Talk about the Rahm Emanuel ad. Just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water and the elections were over, Rahm Emanuel says, "I'm here and I care."
That's right. He released his first sort of positive ad. I actually think he might, if the other two campaigns don't crank up the heat, he could get through this entire campaign season without having to do any negative ads on his opponents. So he released his first ad. It was a smart move in that he targeted some coal plants that he helped shut down in Pilsen that were really important to the community there. And with one of his threatening opponents named Chuy Garcia, appealing to this audience was a pretty smart move out of the box.
Yeah, Eric, right. I would say, I want you to speak, Eric, also, so it looks like he may not be running negative, but he certainly knows who his competition is.
Right, he seems to know right now that it's pretty much Chuy Garcia, who's on the Cook County board, and Alderman Bob Fioretti on the second ward. And I think right now he is worried about being defined too much by the record that he has so far, and the problem is that he is unpopular right now with the voters. There's a lot of little things against him. He's going to try to get out there in the next couple of weeks where he's got all this money. He's going to try to tell us the things that you're going to see. These themes are going to be positive at first. He's going to say, look, I've extended the school day, graduation rates are up, I've held the line on property taxes, I've held the line on sales taxes, I've improved the CTA, crime is down, unemployment is down. That's going to be his theme for a while, as long as he can get away with it. And I think if that moves the numbers for voters, you may not see any negative ads from him this entire cycle.
And Kristen, that is amazing to me, because with all of the negative publicity he's had regarding the violence, just the issues Eric mentioned, the school closings, all the things that have people so very angry, nobody seems to have the money right now to go against him in the ad. So he runs a bunch of ads that say, no, I'm great. I've done great things for this city. Do Chicagoans have really short memories?
Not just Chicagoans, but all voters have really short memories, and that's why Rahm Emanuel has spent so much time raising money, because he creates kind of this firewall around himself. He now has all the money to remind us of all the great things he's done as mayor, and not a strong opponent to knock any of those theories down.
A lot of money as an incumbent, having a lot of money is really important. It helps challengers, clearly, and I think we can see, Governor-elect Rauner shows us how important money is for challengers. But when you're incumbent, when you have the power of incumbency combined with the power of the purse, so to speak, this is an amazing 1-2 punch that's going to be very difficult for any candidate to break through. I don't know that Karen Lewis would have done it, and I don't know that Chuy Garcia will have the personality, the sparkle, and the issues to break through.
Well, I think there's no question Rahm is looking to control the airwaves right now. I don't think we'll see the volume we saw in the gubernatorial campaign, because frankly he has money, but not the kind of money that Bruce Rauner put into this campaign, but it certainly has begun. Since we're talking about Bruce Rauner, let's shift over to Springfield. I spent a good part of the week there during veto session, where not a lot really got accomplished. Some efforts to move minimum wage, but let's talk about Bruce Rauner in Springfield. Eric, let me start with you this time around. Basically, Bruce Rauner showed up to say, once again, Springfield, don't do anything on any important issues. And in his last day there, when I saw him hold the press conference, he said, and by the way, Governor Quinn, don't do any appointments and don't play with any rules to modify anything that's going on. He was asked if he had any indication that Quinn was doing something. He said no, but this is Illinois.
Quinn will tell you, Quinn will respond that he is the governor until January 12th. He's the governor and he'll do what he wants to. And I don't think that this is what you would call reaching out by Rauner. This doesn't seem to be a smart move on his part. I was really struck by something else that Rauner said, which was he talked about how he'd gotten a look at some of the budget books, and he realized that things are worse than he had thought. He talked about how horrible the economy is. Well, I just want to point out that it's not like you got to look at the nuclear codes that no one else had. All you got to do is go online. All this information was there, and this underscores what a lot of us were saying during this campaign, which is that this guy doesn't really know what he's talking about. And now he's acting like, oh, I'm just discovering how bad things were. how bad things were has been online this entire time. So I thought that was really disingenuous, and I think he's laying the groundwork for lowering expectations on what he's been promising.
Kristen, as you respond to that, let me add a piece to that. When I was in Springfield, I talked to many legislators, and he's calling everybody. He appears to be calling everybody, Democrat and Republican alike. One particular Democrat, I won't name right now, said to me, Rauner called him and said, look forward to working with you together, bipartisan. And this particular rep said, oh, really? On what? And Rauner said, well, just on all the issues. He goes, well, I mean specifically, what do you want to work with me on in a bipartisan basis? He said Rauner kept going back to the script and said nothing more than bipartisan effort. How much of a plan do you think he's got going into this game?
I think he has a plan. I mean, I don't think it's unusual. Eric is, offended that he would tell the governor to, not make appointments and not make any big decisions. This is Illinois. We got a 67% tax increase the last time we had a lame duck session, passed in the middle of the night. So I don't think it's out of bounds for Rauner to kind of caution them to slow down. And I think it's a reasonable request. Or do they have to obey it? No, they don't. And as far as his plans, I think we'll see. I mean, every governor who comes in starts blaming his predecessor for the condition of the state. Every single governor does that. Rauner's no different.
Right, except the way he was framing this, which is, don't do anything, even though, I mean, for instance, the minimum wage is something that I'm very interested in, which is, as you know, the minimum wage passed 2-1. It was an advisory referendum on the statewide ballot this time. And the Democrats are unclear about whether they're going to go ahead and try to pass that in the lame duck session after the new year. I'm not exactly sure what they're thinking, but if they don't pass the minimum wage, if they leave it to after Governor-elect Rauner is sworn in, all they've done is handed him a bargaining chip to deal with. I don't quite understand the gamesmanship of that. Maybe one of you two do.
And a very quick answer from you. Pension plan struck down today. Just curious, do you think Rauner's ready to go with some proposals if the Supreme Court knocks it down? We still need that step. Eric?
Well, Bruce Rauner all along has said that he wants to convert the state to a 401k program, which is, basically the way the rest of us are in the world are dealing with our retirements. And although I support that idea in concept, the problem with just converting to a 401k system and phasing out pensions is that there are transition costs that are involved. And it's not as easy as just flipping the switch and saying, okay, from now on we're all in 401ks, or from now on all the new hires are in 401ks. I mean, I think that the concept is good, but I don't know how the math works out.
Yeah, Kristen, let me shift topics with you and talk about the president's comments last night on immigration. Republicans say the man is writing law. The president says, no, I'm doing what presidents do. I'm executing law. What did he do last night, in your opinion?
I mean, I don't think you have to take Republicans' word for it. The president himself is on record last year saying that he would be overstepping his bounds of executive authority if he did exactly what he did. So I think what he did is certainly questionable in terms of his authority, but the context of this is that the Senate passed a bipartisan immigration bill last year, and House Republicans sat on it. They didn't pass it. They didn't pick up parts of it. It dealt with border security. It dealt with all the issues that both sides of the aisle have been complaining about. So I think Obama did this out of frustration. I still think it was probably, Republicans may challenge it, and I'm not sure it will be upheld. You
don't think that Obama's actions will be upheld? I mean, I think
I'm not sure. I mean, they're gonna challenge him in court. And what he did is quite different than what Reagan did and what Bush did in my opinion, in this
not
action.
Constitutional. I mean, I understand your aesthetic argument to it, but not constitutionally. I understand what Kristen's saying, that Obama has spent a year and a half saying he can't do this. The law prevents him from doing it, and then he turns around and does it. I can't justify that, but I will tell you that I think that he was playing politics before when he said he couldn't do it, because he was hoping that he could get a law through Congress. So he was not using the authority that he has under the Constitution. So well, I think it's legal. I mean, and it's clearly unpopular. The polls tell you that it's unpopular, but I believe that the result in the long run will be popular and that he'll be the winner in this. And there's a possibility that he may be trying to goad the Republicans into one of these destructive fights that they have a tendency to get into, shutting down the government or impeaching him or something, and that turns the public against him.
Kristen, less than a minute left, but Eric raises an important point, which I think is, I don't expect Republicans to attack what the president did. I expect him to attack how he did it, because I'm not sure they want to fight what he did.
Right. No, that's exactly why you're hearing them not necessarily attack the content of what Obama did, but the fact that he may have overstepped his bounds. But again, I think they have some egg on their face. They've had plenty of time to pass what they would consider to be, you know, good bipartisan immigration reform, and they chose to sit on it.
It was their choice.
And they can still do it, right? I mean, this is, Obama has been telling them, look,
That's
you still
right.
can pass a law.
Indeed, he sort of said, go ahead and do something and just negate everything I've done. It's really up to them to do that. Eric Zorn, Tribune for the columnist for the Chicago Tribune, and Chris McCreary, the Chicago Tribune editorial board member. As always, it's great to have the Common Sense Caucus here for our weekend review on this Friday. Thanks for being with me. See you soon.
See ya.
And we'll be back with more politics tonight after these words. Stay with us.